Sam, thank you very much. I'm in Winmalee this morning in the Blue Mountains, one of the areas hardest hit by the bushfire emergency that swept through New South Wales yesterday and is still continuing to burn out of control in more than 20 locations this morning. Another 90 fires still underway. So for the very latest, let's go to Shane Fitzsimmons, the Commissioner of the Rural Fire Service. Shane, good morning to you. You were waiting for first light to be able to send aircraft up this morning to get an idea and assess the damage. Can you give us an extent of just how widespread it all is?
Yes, good morning, Mel. We still have 100 fires across New South Wales. 36 are uncontained. We've still got some very active fire grounds, particularly in those areas where we're expecting to have a high tally in terms of damage and destruction. We've got the aircraft up. We've had the firefighters out all night. They're continuing to work. Lots of flare-ups as the fires make their way up in between valley systems and in between homes. Only in the last hour or so, we still have an emergency warning current and an alert has been reissued for the fire up on the Central Coast. That's the fire burning near Catherine Hill Bay, and we've issued emergency alerts to the communities of Nords Wharf and Murray's Beach because the fire is still burning quite aggressively in towards those communities in a northerly direction. Extensive fire grounds today. The 7 largest fires yesterday have consumed something like 50,000 hectares already. We know across those same 7 fires, we've got a fire perimeter of something like 400 kilometres. So we're talking about a significant amount of fire still burning, still requiring the attention of firefighters, and of course, Mel, as you're witnessing up there, we've got a damage toll that is still the subject of detailed assessment, and our impact assessment teams will be going right across those fire grounds today, fire ground to fire ground, street to street, home to home, starting to get an appreciation and a confirmation of exactly what has been lost and where it's been lost.
Okay, so Shane, it's a little bit early for me to ask you if you've got any estimate on the number of houses that may have gone.
Mel, I'm still sticking with today as the day rolls on. I suspect we'll be talking home losses in the hundreds. It'll just be a matter of how many hundreds I suspect, and I don't in any way mean to be insensitive or disrespectful to those that have suffered loss, but the enormity of these fire grounds, the devastation that has been wreaked across a very broad landscape and so many communities, the early indications from our firefighters on the ground, the footage, the thermal imaging scans that I've seen of streets affected by fire overnight would indicate to us that that's the sort of number that we're talking about.
Hundreds. All right. Look, Shane, thank you. Truly horrific. I will talk to you very, very soon too and keep updating everybody on the situation at hand this morning. As we say, still unfolding, 100 fires, 20 on them still out of control this morning. Susan Templeman joins me now. We are in Winmalee, as I said, in the Blue Mountains. Susan, this is your home, hey? How are you managing this morning?
It's a pretty sad sight, isn't it, this morning? And, you know, we knew it'd be bad when we woke up, that the reality would really hit, and that's clearly what's going to happen for all of us in the street. From what I can see, there are about 12 to 13 houses that have gone, and that's, most of us just got out with the clothes on our backs and what we've managed to borrow overnight.
And that's all that matters. You're safe. I know your son was home alone at the time. He's okay?
Absolutely. Look, that was our key concern, that our 19-year-old was able to get out quickly and just get to somewhere safe. I mean, the challenge was the fire was in that direction to Springwood, which was where the evacuation centre was. So we had no official place to tell him to go. And we made a judgment call and said, head to the Winmalee shops. And hundreds of other people obviously did the same thing because it became an unofficial staging post for everybody.
Can you give us an idea? I mean, your car here is just a complete molten pile. How fast was it? Did your son tell you how quickly it came up, how fierce, how fast it was?
Well, we were monitoring it remotely and he wasn't aware while he was here exactly how close it was, but we could see within a few minutes it moved from being over at a friend's house to being in our gully. And that was in the space of maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And we heard as he left, not long after he left, another friend, was the next door neighbour, was looking at our house and our house was on fire. You know, so I think Harry thought he had tons of time, but with hindsight, he really got out in the nick of time.
And that's all that matters. You're wearing your mum's clothes. You were saying to me, you've got nothing. Is that just, how do you deal with that?
Oh, well, I guess it's an excuse to go shopping, isn't it? But, you know, it's a bit overwhelming to think about it. Once this morning, you know, we've really taken in the horror this morning. I think it'll be a matter of sitting down, making lists, calling insurers. Yeah. It's a bit overwhelming, and I think for a lot of people there's going to be so many tears today. That will be the hard bit.
We're standing here in your street and there are people wandering down and getting an idea of what's happening. Tell me about your home. You built it 23 years ago, timber.
Yeah, look, we're a Western Red Cedar timber cottage. We had a fire system built in, but because Harry left so fast, there was no time for anyone to get that operational. And looking at what's happened, I don't think it would have made any difference. We've raised our 2 kids in this house. This is the only home they've known. You know you've been in your home a long time when you go through not just your first dog but your second dog, because they age and leave you. So it's really been the place where I've lived longest in my life, and my kids have had their whole life here. So I think what's going to be sad for them is all the memories. You know.
I'm sorry.
Look, we keep saying we're so lucky. It really could have been much worse. And, you know, it's just stuff. You know, easily replaced.
All the best. I know that you've got family and everyone's safe, and bless your mum. And, I'm glad everyone's okay. Thank you, Susan, very much.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right. Koshy and Sam, there are a lot of families. Their cars are coming back into the street this morning. There are people wandering around. As I said, we had to wait for light to get an idea of just the extent of the damage, but I'm just looking around me and look at all these places have gone. The other side, there's cars have just melted onto the road, and as I said, that gives you an idea of how fast it came through, how hot it was, and literally how horrific the damage is this morning. So we will be finding out as the story unfolds today.
Yeah, that makes me so sad, that poor woman, and when they're so incredible in these situations to say it's just stuff. I mean, she's lost everything. Gosh, you feel for her. Thanks, Mel.
We'll check back in again very shortly.